Have you been scrolling through YouTube and found people that refer to themselves as a fantasy expert? It's an immediate red flag, and you probably shouldn't listen to that person. There is no such thing as a fantasy expert, right? We can't see the future, and if you have to self-proclaim yourself as an expert, it means you don't have the work, the past work, to speak for itself. It's like deleting previously posted videos so people can't see how wrong you were. Yes, there are people on YouTube that do that. And it would kind of be like me coming on camera and be like, I am an expert ninja. Have you ever seen me do anything ninja related? No. Now, I am an expert in manscaping. I'm here, take a look at this. Now, there's no chance that Taylor left that in the video. I'm sure he cut that, right? Now I'm kind of hoping he did cut that, but just a reminder, use promo code headliners at checkout over at manscaped.com. Get yourself 20% off and free shipping. Tons of products. It's not just trimmers. Anything you need for the bathroom, they got you covered. Use that promo code for the discount. But moral of the story is this: don't trust an expert just because they call themselves one. Too many people in this business are caught up with hot takes trying to get something big right that they totally abandon common sense, and it really doesn't help you out very much. We're analysts with years of proven success and experience, plus, like I said, got a little bit of damn common sense nowadays, which goes a long way, but we play a game that no one can play perfectly. So in today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the expert consensus top 25 overall wide receivers, see what makes sense, see what looks a little bit funny, and then at the end of the video, I'll throw up my top 25 wide receivers at this point in the offseason. We know the NFL draft is right around the corner, so things are going to change over the coming months, but this will be a good baseline for us. So let's go ahead and throw up the overall top 25 wide receivers according to the expert consensus. And I'm going to keep it real. Right here at the top, 1 through 5, I can't argue a whole lot, right? Justin Jefferson is my number 1 wide receiver as well, followed by Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs. Me personally, probably would have Diggs 1 spot higher, just a little bit safer than Tyreek Hill, with the fact that Tua just can't stay on the field, but very minor changes, not a whole lot there. Next up, Davante Adams. I'm going to have him a little bit lower in my rankings as well. They added Jacoby Myers. They brought back Josh Jacobs. They lost Derek Carr, which some of you are super pumped up about, but Jimmy G isn't exactly known for his deep ball. He's definitely in the bottom half of that category of that stat each and every year, and that's not going to help the big plays of Davante Adams. What about CeeDee Lamb? They brought in Brandon Cooks to play on the outside, which is great because we want CeeDee Lamb to continue to play in the slot. It's where he's dominated the last couple of seasons. Dalton Schultz, he's gone, and with the volume that CeeDee Lamb is going to see and the touchdown upside, I may have CeeDee Lamb a little bit higher. A.J. Brown, same thing can be said for A.J. Brown. He finished last year as wide receiver 5 overall in fantasy. They got him at 8. Okay, not a big difference, but probably going to be a little bit higher for me. Really no reason for Philadelphia to not use him the same way. But then we get over to Amon-Ra St. Brown next. I pretty much will have him in the same spot. If you've been here long enough, you know we call him hashtag Doomtar. Throw a comment down below if you know what we're talking about. But they have Jameson Williams more healthy this year than anything that we saw last year. They did bring in Marvin Jones Jr. He's back in Detroit. They lost DJ Chark, but the target share in the slot for Amon-Ra in a high-powered scoring offense now in Detroit, I'm going to have him inside my top 10 still for sure. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, going to have him right around this same spot as well, right around the 10 spot. A lot of people are worried about the health of Tua. I mentioned it earlier when we talked about Tyreek Hill, but they did bring in Mike White. And a lot of people fell in love with Mike White last year with the Jets. He likes to push the ball down the field, so Jalen Waddle wouldn't see too big of a decrease. He does see decent volume, and those big plays are going to happen. I got Jalen Waddle inside my top 10 still as well. How about number 11? This is where they have Garrett Wilson. This is way too high for me. Now, sure, like I said, this is early in the offseason, but as of right now, Aaron Rodgers is still a damn Packer. Plus, they brought in Allen Lazard, Mecole Hardman, and they get Breece Hall back. As of right now, I'm going to have Garrett Wilson a lot lower in my rankings, at least until A-Rod comes. Once A-Rod, fills in the slot there at the quarterback position, sure, Garrett Wilson is going to climb. Is he going to climb inside my top 12? Probably not. There's no guarantee that Garrett Wilson's going to be that guy. He's going to have a lot of risk. 12 through 16, not a lot of major changes, maybe aside from Deebo Samuel, who they have at 16. I'm going to have him a lot lower. With Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, there's really not a big need for Deebo to take on any type of running role, and we've seen Brandon Ayuk really step up in that offense, George Kittle as well. Is it going to be Trey Lance? Is it going to be Brock Purdy? Who's healthy enough to start? A lot of question marks surrounding that, and that's why I'm going to drop down Deebo in my rankings. Next up, they had Amari Cooper at 17. Never thought I would say this, but I actually like Amari Cooper more than that. Sure, it's going to be a team that wants to throw more in Cleveland this year. He has that chemistry with Deshaun Watson now. They brought in Elijah Moore to draw away some of that defensive attention to go with Donovan Peoples-Jones. Honestly, I don't see why Amari Cooper isn't verge top 12 again this year. Keenan Allen, I have him a few spots higher as well. They have him at 18. There's no way that I can not have Keenan Allen inside my top 15 at the position at least. It's in an offense that's high-powered, going to throw the ball a lot. There's questions surrounding Austin Eckler. And you know he's going to get targets because Mike Williams is perma-injured in this type of offense. So I got Keenan Allen higher. 19, they got DJ Moore. I'm going to have him a couple spots higher as well. Now, he's played with bad quarterback play for a long time. And I'm not saying that Justin Fields is bad by any means. Probably some of the best quarterback play that he's maybe had in his young career coming this year for DJ Moore. We'll have Darnell Mooney there as well, but he was brought in to be the number one target for Justin Fields. So I'm going to have DJ Moore maybe a couple spots higher, followed by DeAndre Hopkins at 20 here for the consensus. I'll have him lower. As of right now, we don't even know where he's going to be playing. If it's in Arizona, that team is going to be horrendous, and Kyler Murray may not be 100% healthy. Next up, they have Chris Godwin. As of right now, Baker Mayfield is slated to be the starting quarterback in 2023. We've seen Baker in an offense with multiple stud weapons before. Didn't quite go so well, right? So I'm not all of a sudden hopping back on this bandwagon in Tampa Bay with no Tom Brady. Godwin going to be a lot lower in my rankings. Christian Watson at 22. Now, if I'm going to penalize Garrett Wilson for not having Aaron Rodgers, I definitely have to reward Christian Watson as of right now for having Aaron Rodgers, because we saw what he was capable of in this offense last season, and really not a whole lot for him to compete with there in Green Bay. Christian Watson, I'll have a few spots higher until we find out what happens with Aaron Rodgers. Once Aaron Rodgers leaves, Christian Watson will probably not be inside my top 25. Then we have Mike Williams at 23. I'm going to have him lower. I love Mike Williams. He's a top 10 talent, but honestly, I'm sick of having him on my bench half the year because the guy can't stay healthy. Tyler Lockett at 24. I'm going to have Tyler Lockett higher. He's one of those guys that just gets no respect in fantasy football, yet he's consistent. They have Geno Smith back, and Tyler Lockett is definitely a guy that I'm very intrigued in having here this year. But then we'll round it out with 25. It's Terry McLaurin, who I may have a spot higher in my rankings, as well as Sam Howell, the future of this franchise. Does Jacoby Brissett push him out of that role at some point throughout the season if he struggles? Either way, the big play potential, the touchdown upside will be there for Terry McLaurin. And even though he had a quote-unquote down year last year, still was pretty solid at the position, so I got him at 25. So I've mentioned all my changes, but what does that actually look like? Well, here you go. My top 25 wide receiver rankings are listed right here. Really, the biggest changes are the additions of two guys towards the bottom, right? We know there's some guys that moved around. You can see that here on the list, but I've added in Brandon Ayuk, who I don't feel gets enough respect in that offense, and I've also added Christian Kirk. Now, an argument can be made here that this could be Kirk, it could be Ridley. Either way, this is going to be an offense that you want a piece of because they're going to throw the ball a lot. We saw Christian Kirk absolutely dominate in the slot, and now opposing defenses have to worry about Calvin Ridley, which is definitely an upgrade, in my opinion, over Marvin Jones Jr. I can't not put somebody from that offense inside my top 25. Christian Kirk's going to be the guy who I feel sees the most targets and is the most consistent, and that's why I have him right here. But everybody's rankings are different, and that is okay. Rankings are all about perspective, right? My perspective, your perspective, when we put everything together, that's when we create the best damn rankings in all the land, and that's why we continue to win championships around here. If you agree with that, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and do your part to make the world a better place.